The wind is howling this morning and we're still going outside. I have a pussycat waiting who really wants to go outside. I have a dog around here somewhere who's probably going to want to go outside. Okay, let's go. You coming out with Mama? Mama will protect you. Okay, come on, Jack. Good job. Hey everybody, it's Irene with BrainStormAcres, and if I look windblown, it's because the wind is really howling this morning. I'm going to give you guys a quick tour of the garden, and then I'm going to start doing some inspections because I need to make sure that I have all my irrigation fine-tuned. We're supposed to hit like 102 starting this weekend, so we got to be ready. So let's go start with bed number 1. Now our yard is currently in transition. We've been rebuilding irrigation and pathways, and you can see this piles of, this is AB, which is used as a base rock. There's all kinds of stuff going on, very messy right now, but that's the way it is always in transition. So bed number 1. The reason we have numbers for our beds is they're all on irrigation. You cannot grow things here without irrigation, and we have not had any rain since the very beginning of May that was measurable. Our total rainfall for the year so far is about 4 1/3 inches, which is almost all of what we had for almost all of last year. So we're actually very happy to have had this much rain so far this year. However, it means that we definitely have to irrigate. So bed 1 is asparagus, planted, I don't know, maybe 6 years ago. This is actually a sunk into the ground bed. If you look really closely, you can see that this is actually another cement block here, and there's actually, I think, 2 more cement blocks underground. So this whole area of dirt here was really poor quality, and it was completely dug into the ground and replaced, and then we planted the asparagus roots. The ground here is very poor quality. See this white junk on top? That's called caliche. It's unconsolidated limestone. It means our ground is extremely alkaline here. And although there are patches on the property that have some decent soil, this area here is where the mobile home was when we bought the property. You can see still the septic connections over there. And yeah, this was probably graded off with a grader at some point before they put the mobile home here, and it's just totally bad soil. So we do 99.99% of our growing in raised beds. Bed 3 is a mystery. Bed 2 is hiding. Let me get this sitting here, and I'll open it up just a little bit. I checked it this morning, so I know it's okay. But under here is tomatoes. And these are our indeterminate tomatoes. They were started as seedlings, and yeah, this is where all our indeterminate tomatoes are. And also, let me turn this around. These are what they call Roselle hibiscus. So hibiscus tea, yeah, it comes from this stuff. So I need to fertilize everybody in here, but this morning I'm just checking for irrigation, and then I'm hoping to be able to fertilize later this afternoon. Bed number 2 is this. It's currently got storage of poles. I know someone's going to ask why we have Coca-Cola bottles on top of our poles. That is because my husband has eye damage from a car accident, and it makes it difficult for him to spot things like the top of a pole if he's reaching into a bed. We actually kind of like the sound too, because we like noisemakers in the garden sometimes. I'm trying to let these California poppies, these seed pods, I'm trying to let as many of those develop as possible. These are Nigella, also called lavender mist. They reseeded themselves, and I just left them because I adore them. I also have a nasty weed in here that I have to get rid of. Ho, ho, ho. I'm just going to pick off the seeds for right now. These things turn into giant prickly things, and yeah, nasty. We have some damage on this one from a dust devil that hit us the other day. Dust devils where we live can be extremely violent and extremely dangerous, and well, I wouldn't say extremely dangerous. They can rip part of your roofing off. They can crack a window. They can pick up your lawn furniture and throw it down the down the road. Anyway, pick this up so you can see this. This is actually running right now. That's fun. This is another one of our tomato beds. This one is a determinate tomato bed. It's time to fertilize these guys. These have been covered since the day that they were planted. We have determinate tomatoes in here, and we also have basil. I need to start some more basil, and I'll pop that product sort of randomly in here. We really love tomatoes, we really love basil, and they're a great combo in salads in the summer. The reason these are covered, seems like a lot of work, huh? Well, it dramatically reduces the amount of water loss that we have here because of the wind. It also protects the plants from getting totally shredded by the wind, and it also keeps tomato hornworms off. Now, this one has been damaged by a dust devil. It was unfortunately partially open when a dust devil came along. So you can see there's some tears in it and stuff like that. I'm still going to leave it on there because it's still protecting the plants a lot. Bed 5 is currently a wonderful collection of various types of potatoes. Let's see who's in here. Adirondack Blue, Austrian Crescent, Kennebec. There's a whole stack of them. We have a bunch of different things that we've never grown before. We bought 2 collections of potatoes from Hoss Tools, and they're in this bed, bed 6. Sad story of bed 6. We call this a carrot bed because in the past it has been used extensively for carrots. This year, however, it's snow peas, and it was supposed to also be peas. And that whole bare section over on that side there, yeah, that was supposed to be peas. And what happened was the peas and the snow peas both came up beautifully. They just were coming up gangbusters, growing really well. And the winds came. And the winds came so badly that they really damaged the peas. They bent them back and forth so much at the roots that it made them susceptible to fungal infection. And it also, they were massacred by mice and rodents of other kinds. Mice and rats are a big problem here. For whatever reason, they didn't like the snow peas as well. So the snow peas, as you can see, are producing. I will probably harvest these again this evening. And I'm getting a handful or 2 in some cases a day or every other day off these snow peas. As you'll notice as I walk around, you'll see things like this. These are the rat traps that go out every night. I've been harvesting extensively lately, and that has seemed to have helped. I really wanted to harvest out the rodents a bunch before we got around to planting our beans. 7 is actually multi-parts. It's got the round bed, which is a giant sage, and that is culinary sage. It's got some, these guys here are parsley that are going to seed. This is also part of bed 7. It is a giant lavender plant. This went dry for a few days, but it's coming back really well. It's a rose bush and chives. This is another rose bush and chives, and there's the cat. Yes. Hi, Miss Isa. Can you even see her down there? She's, I think they call it a tortoise shell. Mostly black with little brown splops all over her, except for the end of her tail, which has got stripes just like our old cat Jessie did. This thing here is actually a a native plant. It's showy 4 o'clock. It is a bit of a plague, very drought resistant, and I control its behavior because it seems to attract stink bugs and squash bugs. Bed 8. Bed 8 is a mishmash. These are wild, and we have encouraged them because they can grow with virtually no water input. We have a lot of herbs in here. These are rosemary. I haven't trimmed them this spring, so usually I try and get in there and trim off all the dead stuff from the year before, and I just haven't had the time because we've been rebuilding too many things. This is oregano, obviously or not so obviously. Iris in the center. Let's see, these are peppermint, which is taking over the world again. This whole bed used to be covered with peppermint. It was totally eradicated by gophers. It has since been armored now. Armored beds in our area here mean that you have put a piece of hardware cloth down before you put the block in place, and then you fill it with dirt. So it's a type of raised bed, but that keeps the gophers from coming in underneath. These are elephant garlic, regular garlic. There's some onions in here. There's some leeks in here. This is going to water soon, and it'll fill up. I try and always keep this bird bath full for the birds. It's a big deal here to provide water. It's the best way if you want to see birds. That's the way to do it. Fill up bird baths. So we actually have a piece of our drip irrigation that goes directly to our bird bath, and that allows the bird bath to be filled usually all the time. This sometimes the cat will get into it, but I think this was just the wind just blew it away. We have a feeder that we sometimes put feed in over there. We have a suet feeder here, and we have a hummingbird feeder. But during the summer, mostly what we do is water, and water will make all the birds come in. We have flowers on this end of the bed, along with some dill. And there's a lot of dill popping up in here this year, and I'm fine with that. I don't care. Potatoes. These are mostly Adirondack blue in here, I think. I have to check my notes. And then we have dusty onions and candy onions, and someone ate the top of the leeks out. Bed number 11 runs from that irrigation right there over here, and it includes rhubarb, strawberries, sunflowers, more rhubarb. This is 2 different varieties. These 3 plants were bought years ago, 6 years ago maybe, from Johnny's Select Seeds. They were in a different bed. They didn't like it. Last year I moved them here. They're much happier here. I know this is in the shade, but where we are, it is so hot and so dry and so sunny that rhubarb does just fine in the shade here. End of day here, this will all, well, between morning and end of day, there's a couple of periods where it gets direct sun, and the rest of the time it gets a lot of extremely bright light with a white wall behind it, so it's fine. This rhubarb was a gift from our girlfriend Lisa. Hi Lisa! She lives in Pennsylvania, and it came with a bonus. These guys were also in the pot, and they are actually I always want to say bluebell, and that is wrong. They are a blue flower with a bell-like flower to them, and it's not a bluebell because bluebells are totally different. That's Texas. Totally blanking on that. I'll see if I can figure it out and put it in there. I don't know what the specific variety is. She doesn't remember. It's from an old house she used to live in, but they're beautiful. We let them grow under there. They have almost a heart-shaped leaf when they first start, so there's a whole ton of them under there, and they peek out from under the rhubarb, and it's kind of cool once they start blooming. As you can see, they're going to start blooming soon. So, what else is in here? These are more rhubarbs. This is a little patch of peppermint. And then we are over into the recycled straw bale beds. A couple of years ago, we had some straw bales. We experimented with them as doing a straw bale garden, and decided that it didn't make a lot of sense where we live. Now, if I was in most of the United States where it rains on a regular basis and things like that, I would definitely, especially if I didn't have the greatest soil, do a straw bale garden. It's fast. It's, you know, like 5 or 6 weeks, you've got a garden that's 100% ready to plant. It's wonderful. Really not a lot of weeding except for the occasional wheat seed that comes up, or the oats. Oats depends on where you are, whether it's wheat straw, oat straw. But here, straw bales are extremely expensive and not worth it. They're like $15 a piece for decent ones usually here. That's too much money. So what we did was, our old straw bale garden is gradually being consolidated down into these beds. So this is rotted, composted, self-composted straw that we are reusing again and again, and every year we stick more of the old straw bales that are left over from the straw bale garden in on top of this. This is cucurbits, which means we have this row here is all, that's the cucumber family sort of thing, and squash family. This is all Hannah's Choice, which is cantaloupe, and these are an assortment. This is White Star, which is a patty pan, yellow. This is also a White Star patty pan. This is a White Star patty pan. No, this is a Bennington Green, which is a green patty pan. Squash. This is a Dunja zucchini. Now, what you're seeing here is one of the problems with these kind of things. This was up to here when we started. It has sunk down just from the watering. I'm not thrilled with how much that particular one has sunk down, but I'm probably just not going to leave. I'm just going to leave it anyway because the plants are happy, so I don't want to screw things up. Over here we have Golden Delight zucchini. This guy, and this guy. And then these are watermelons. That one, and that one, and this one, and this one. And those are all, it has the name of it, Sugar Baby. I couldn't remember because I grew a different variety last year. We're experimenting with different varieties to see which ones do best here and which ones we like the flavor of. We got just a couple of watermelons last year and they were amazing. This is another experiment for us. South Anna butternut squash. Supposed to be very prolific. The plan is to allow them to sprawl onto this section here. That's the plan. And we'll also allow the watermelon to sprawl down here. We'll keep the cantaloupe in the bed even if it gets pretty tangly. Last year I actually trellised up some of the cantaloupe and it worked well. This is the beginning of the new irrigation section. These beds have been completely rebuilt in the last two. Jack, you're in my flowers again. Ah! Oh, cool, a bug. Neat bug. Neat. I know that bugs like this are not a big treat some other places, but that's a water-based bug. So yeah, we don't see those too often here. There's lots going on. So until next time, bye.